welcome to Audio Biography, the podcast, where we talk about the music that changed our lives and yours. Tonight, we have a special episode. It's a little bit of a bummer because Clint is not here. And that's weird for me because for about 4 years, he's always been with me on every episode. But we have a very special guest, a return guest. This is his second time here. It's our good buddy and friend of the podcast, Josh. What's up, man?
Hey, how are you guys? How we doing?
Yeah. So we do this thing here called 10 questions. Clint couldn't make it tonight, so we're going to do this with Josh. So, Josh,
I'm excited.
Yeah, what do you?
A little nervous. No pressure, right?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, there's no rules. An answer cannot be too short or too long. It's just the answer. So don't feel like you're pressured into going into some big monologue on every question. You don't have to. You can. You don't have to.
Fair enough.
And I was going to start you off really hard, but I think we'll just take it easy until the middle. Kind of get a flow going here. So, first question. You're driving around in your car, you're in high school. What is the go-to song or record in your car at that time?
Depending on who I'm with and where I'm at, I would say probably Dr. Dre, Chronic. A lot.
That's great. Because around that same time, you told me you graduated in 96, right?
Yeah.
So the Chronic was 93, but it was in all of our cars for about 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That and Doggy Style. I mean, so, I grew up in Youngstown. It's the suburbs of Youngstown. It's a fairly urban area. I mean, I grew up on the Beatles and Zeppelin, but I don't know, 90s rap is a sweet spot for me. I wasn't one of those guys with the, speakers and stuff in my car or anything like that, but it was just good music to listen to.
I love it. I have lots of memories just riding around at night or even during the day, but usually at night with the windows down, and it's summer and it's warm, but with the windows down, it's not too hot. And, just like Dre Day or G Thing or something like that's playing. Yep. I have those memories too. That's pretty cool since we're separated by just a few years, not too many, but I like the answer. I like that. So, yeah. So you're going to go with that.
I would say that probably got the most frequent play. I can remember, strangely enough, Jagged Little Pill got a lot of play, and Siamese Dream was often, what's funny is I bought a new used car just last summer and it still has a CD player.
Nice.
And Siamese Dream is the CD that stays in my car. I don't listen to the CD player very much, but it's like every once in a while I'll just flip it to that and let it go.
Cool. Man, I love it. Somehow I'm just not even surprised that you said the Chronic. I feel like anybody in our age range, that's probably going to be an answer. Yeah.
It was up there. What was the Coolio album that we listened to a lot?
I remember the songs. I remember Gangsta's Paradise and Fantastic Voyage.
Fantastic Voyage. That's what.
Yeah, that was the record, wasn't it?
We'll put that on there.
Yeah. I loved that song too. Oh man, that's awesome. All right, let's go to another question here. Oh, here's a fun one. So you have the power to resurrect any musician who has passed too early. Not only are you resurrecting them, they are resurrected in their time and get to continue their career. Who do you resurrect?
John Bonham.
Nice. I didn't expect that one.
I don't even have to think about it. My dream would be to see Zeppelin play together.
I mean, that's the reason that you do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I think that's my number one. I mean, I like Elvis. That's probably a big one to just be able to say I saw Elvis play, or I don't like. Was he still making great music when he died? I mean, it was okay. There's some stuff there, but I mean, Bonham was, yeah.
That's a good answer. I love it. Studio or live? If you had to only do one.
Live. Yeah, I know. Yeah, live. Just the machine.
Yeah. So, speaking of live performances, like we'll just do like a sub question on this one. Like, what are some of the like? Give me like your three favorite shows ever.
Okay, three favorite shows ever. I'm gonna go. Number one is Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Let's see, 22 years ago. So that would have been 2002 at here in Columbus. But I was 24. It was one of the very first shows that my dad and I went together, listening to Old Man. I was 24, my arm around my dad. This is the music that, my parents divorced when I was 2. I would drive 3 hours each way in the car to spend time at my dad's. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Peter, Paul and Mary, Buffalo Springfield, Neil Young by himself. That's the music that I grew up on. And
Mm-hmm.
so like I can remember as a very, very young child, my dad, singing along with the harmonies of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And so that would be my number one. My number two is actually probably at Woodstock. Just it was a wild show, but like strangely enough, the Chili Peppers, while I've seen them a couple times live and they're okay. Like I'm a decent Chili Peppers fan, but things got crazy at Woodstock 99. And then Under the Bridge started and everybody chilled out. So you got like 250 to 300,000 people singing along to Under the Bridge, bonfires, people half naked, looping bonfires, like Lord of the Flies type stuff. But everybody was like, going along to that song, and it was pretty epic. And then I would say probably my third, weirdly enough, I've grown to love them. Harry Styles at Madison Square Garden, maybe 6 feet from him with my daughter, and kind of one of those full circle moments. I took her to see One Direction for her first show when she was 9, and then we took a road trip to see Harry Styles at the Garden. It was pretty awesome. So I put that as my third favorite.
Cool. Yeah. You and I have some symmetry here because some of my best concert memories are either with my dad or with my daughter.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's fun when your parents share their music with you, and then it's even more fun to share yours with your own kids. So
for sure.
love that.
Or yeah, and I like that. I like that. I probably, if it weren't for my daughter, I probably wouldn't be a Harry Styles fan.
Yes.
Um, but I'm glad that I am. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. My daughter shares back with me too, and I enjoy that.
yeah,
Like you said, the full circle moment stuff. So I'm going to ask you one that might be, I don't know, you might have to think. We'll see. But what song, or even maybe a couple of songs if you want, would you say best represents your attitude towards life? Because I feel like music is very important in, if you love music,
yeah.
it's one of those things that normally we can look at and say, yeah, this song represents me and how I think about things. So
Man, that's tough. It's so because you don't want to pick something that like seems superficial. I don't. There are a lot of like happy songs that I like.
I don't think that that would be bad at all, actually.
I would say, and we talked a little bit about this song. I really think Oasis Live Forever would probably be one that I really identify with. Just like the idea of, and, we discussed this through text, but when he wrote that song, he was like working at a grocery store or something like that, right? And he was in the back and he had I think hurt his hand or hurt his ankle. He was kind of like not able to do a lot at the time. And he saw Kurt Cobain and like the negative attitude and just kind of like sad with life, and he like wrote that song in defiance of it, right? That he just wanted to, fly and be happy and get through it, and things are okay. He wanted to be a rock star. He wanted to make the money, and he just looked at this guy that's sad. He had it all. He was sad, and he's like, whatever. That's not how I want to be. So I know those guys can be pretty cantankerous to say, and they've always got an opinion about everything. But I like the way that one turned out.
Yeah, they're about as smooth as a Brillo pad.
Yeah, they are.
That's a good song though. That's a good answer. And that would be a yeah. I like that. Something easy. I got something easy for you. What's the last record you bought?
Oh, yeah, I got the reedition of Alice in Chains.
As most of us did. Yeah,
Yeah,
we had some. We were all little inside baseball here. Clint, Josh, and I were all, as each one of us received ours, announcing to the others and then making fun of Clint being the last to get his.
Yeah, I actually, I don't know if my wife surprised me or not, but I was hoping the Guardians are doing a special giveaway of the Black Keys records for certain ticket purchases. It will look pretty cool, but
yeah, that'd be neat.
We'll see.
That one makes sense. Where the Rolling Stones,
yeah,
MLB thing just made no sense to me. What's the last record that was on your turntable? Was it also Jar of Flies, or was
no,
last thing on your turntable?
Well, this is why it's my top 5 of coming up. Television Adventure.
Nice. I was actually listening to that today because I'm not super familiar.
Oh, really?
So I'm just a little familiar, but so I was almost glad we got to postpone this. I get to do a little more homework before we actually record 1978.
Yeah. Oh, of what you heard, did you enjoy it? And you kind of
see
symmetry with the year?
Oh yeah, yeah. We were talking last week, Little Rabbit Trail. Of course, we did 1977, and these late 70s, man, they're weird. Just the uh, like you go from one extreme to another.
Yeah.
And in popular music, and it's pretty, like, I have just been wowed by how amazing the late 70s are for that. But of course, disco, the kickoff of
But
punk.
I was going to say it's wild because you throw in like disco and stuff, and it's like
you've got disco here, you got punk here, you got the Eagles over here, you got it's just a free for all. It's wild.
And while I'm not a huge disco fan, there's so many good like drum beats and samples that came out of that music.
No, I mean, you give me a good groove and I'm happy. I'm feeling it. Oh, all right. So this leads into this. This is a good question. What's like a song or a record or that just zaps you right back into your adolescence? And I'm talking like when you first started recognizing music, even before your teen years.
Probably Billie Jean. That the single, the Michael Jackson. Just when I hear that, it's like I can remember riding my bike around the neighborhood and like meeting with friends. I mean, we walked everywhere, rode our bikes everywhere, and
yeah, yes,
easier times.
Us free range Gen X kids, just
free for all.
That's it. Yeah, it was an easier and simpler time in a lot of ways. Yeah, Billie Jean, same. It's definitely one of them. I know that there's a ton of them, but yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a big one. I would say, to my teen years, like when I started really like starting to care about music a little bit, would probably be Suzanne Vega, like 99 Fahrenheit degrees, or what I think that was the name of the album.
Yeah. Was that the one that had
Uncle Tom's Diner on it?
Yeah.
Or Tom's Diner or whatever.
Tom's Diner, yeah.
It's a good one. There's a German band that covered it with another group, and the guy voices. I'd have to. I'll send it to you, but it's the guy's voice is insane. I mean, they usually perform in German, but this is in English, and it's so good.
Yeah, there was a woman rapper not long after called Nikki D that sampled it.
Okay,
Look that one up. It's pretty good. I think it's called
check it out.
Daddy's Little Girl or something like that.
Okay.
It might be kind of sad too, but it uses that hook. So I know you're a soundtrack guy, so let's make it tough on you, and you have to
Okay.
give me one absolute favorite. It can't be singles because everybody says singles. So you have to leave that one, and it may not be the number one for you, but I know it is for so many people our age. So you got to give me one
Um,
favorite, but it can't be that one.
so I would probably either go with the movie Once. Have you seen it?
It sounds familiar.
Glenn, I can never, I want to, how to pronounce his last name. It's folk. It's folk music.
Oh, Glenn Hansford
Yeah,
or
yeah, yes.
oh my God, I have seen that movie. It's an amazing movie.
It's an amazing movie, and the music is beautiful. Yeah, yeah. It's tough, and it's yeah. I love that movie. Also, Me, Myself, and Irene.
It's a good soundtrack. There's some great songs on
Do,
there.
do you know who put that soundtrack together?
No,
Pete Yorn.
really?
Pete Yorn organizes the music for that.
Wow. I just picked up a
And
few Pete Yorn CDs at a thrift store for like 50 cents a piece.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm a
uh,
fan. That's wild. I had no idea.
yeah. He
No. Well, once his name Glenn Hansbard or Hansbard or I'm like you. It's he's Irish.
yeah.
He's an Irish
Um,
fella.
that's when
He is
I was really into Damien Rice at the time. Have you ever listened to Damien Rice?
yeah.
Yeah, his music's really beautiful.
Yeah, I fell into a huge rabbit hole with Glenn after I saw that movie. And it was also out around the time I was a worship leader at church. And so the music kind of resonated with a lot of 2000s worship music as far as, I don't know, it went hand in hand. Everybody that I knew in worship music loved that music too. And so, yeah, I went through a phase there. That's
Hansard. That's how you say
Hansard.
it.
That's
Hansard.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're not dummies anymore. Thank you for looking that up. Wow,
Sorry.
that is an unexpected pick, and you just unlocked a memory for me. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, let's see.
So yeah, Clint was telling me because I was kind of picking his brain a little bit today to get some of these questions because you know I haven't we've gotten to know each other a little bit just through text and the one time we recorded together, but I was just and he was mentioning that you were a big soundtrack guy and so what is it about? Is it the compilation, the different ways that soundtracks are put together? What kind of draws you to them? Because I know a lot of other people that just are in love with soundtracks.
I mean, I think probably a movie like so Cameron Crowe, I like his movies. And he was married to Nancy Wilson, and I'm a pretty huge Heart fan. So I think you could probably go back to Say Anything, and just that's a solid soundtrack. I would say probably Almost Famous. If I had to pick a third favorite, Almost Famous would probably be my third favorite soundtrack.
That one's pretty far up for me too.
And what's Stillwater? That was the name of the band. Just the songs that they have that are on that are like amazing in addition. I just think for me, the way a soundtrack resonates with the movie, it kind of goes movie first, but like a lot of times it will make the movie even better. Just it kind of takes it to a whole nother level when you have the right soundtrack to it.
What for you makes a great song or piece of music? Like when you hear a song and you go, that does it. That is great.
I mean, it could be a ton of different things. I think intros, guitar riffs usually, or like, a great drum, and like Hot for Teacher, right? Something like that to really start a song. Lyrically, it has to be relevant, evoke emotion. I think it goes hand in hand, right? For greats, it's lyrics that evoke emotion, great riffs. I'm a sucker for great harmonies. The Beatles, and my mom was a big Beach Boys fan, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. So maybe the Bee Gees are the greatest harmony. They're up
I
there.
mean, they are up there. I would actually probably put Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Above.
Yeah, I don't know though. That's tough. That's hard.
It's
And
tough.
and the Beatles, it was three part, but actually they were better when they were doing basically two part, and John and Paul were doing that what they called the super voice, where it was harmony but not really. It was almost unison, almost like they're the only ones that could ever do it. Like they
Yeah.
could that was pretty impressive, but yeah, I don't know. BG's CSNY, yeah, that's a tough one. All right, a few silly ones for you.
Okay.
Karaoke, have you ever done it?
Yeah, I just got back from Mexico. Karaoke.
What's
Let's
your
go.
go-to karaoke song?
It used to be High and Dry.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I also like Creep a lot from Radiohead. Man Eater is like the one I want to do next.
That's a good one. My daughter and I, we were down at the brewery last week, and she actually strolled through and had a beer with us, and a Hall and Oates song was playing, and so then she and I go into this whole, what's the best Hall and Oates song, and for her it's Man Eater is her favorite Hall and Oates song, and so we were actually talking about. I was like, you need to do that in karaoke. So
Yeah.
there's your sign.
It's such a great song. I love it. And Hall & Oates, I think, like, I know they used to get a lot of love and attention. I mean, they're amazing. I don't know. I want to teach the younger generation about Hall & Oates because they're so amazing.
It's really weird how they're one of those bands that are Hall of Famers, tons of number one records, number one songs, millions and millions and millions sold, but now nobody really thinks about them unless you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
nobody really
Yeah.
you don't hear about them as a legacy act like you hear about others.
Yeah.
So,
You feel like Chicago's kind of the same way?
oh yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of that has to do with when the big change in the 80s and David
Yeah.
Foster, and I think that really started them on a
Different
trajectory away. It was just like it was so good for a short time there in the 80s with him, and
Yeah.
then Peter Cetera left, and there was the infighting, and now it feels like they've been like 100 different guys in the band for the
Yeah.
last 30 or 40 years. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think they are one of those. Like, we should talk about them more because they were really two bands. They had two completely
Right.
different runs.
Yeah.
The 70s is not even remotely close to what they did in the 80s. But yeah, I do think that I agree that they're another one that nobody really talks about them anymore. But
Should.
my goodness, they were amazing.
Amazing. Twice.
All right. On a scale of 0 to Swifty, where are you with Taylor Swift? We'll make Swifty 10.
Probably like a 6.
Okay. That's where I've climbed to recently.
Yeah, I would say like when Midnights came out, I was like, no, because like it's very processed, right? Like there's not a whole lot of it's very produced, a lot of digital. That album has grown on me. So here's kind of cool, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but her keyboardist graduated from the high school that my kids go to, and he was in the marching band that my daughter's in. So the caveat is, and he is her music manager, I believe, as well. Like he helps with production. He's got some jazz albums out. His name's David Cross. His jazz music is actually pretty solid.
So sort of like a
Um,
band leader guy.
yeah, he's kind of, yeah. Her guitarist is from Cleveland as well, and and her boyfriend. I'm pretty sure she's obsessed with Ohio. But uh, um, no, I would say 1989 is her best album. It's my favorite.
Agree. Yeah, I agree.
I really like Folklore a
Mhm.
lot. And I think what she did during the pandemic, where she was kind of isolated, I really enjoy that music. It's kind of softer and a little dark at times. Um, I like that stuff. Evermore.
Beyonce is a big topic right now, so we're going to talk about Taylor. We'll talk about Beyonce. Do you have any sort of like baseline thoughts on just her entire career? Like, we can talk about the country album, but where do you think she stands in it all? Just because it's controversial right now.
She's up there. I mean, she's obviously amazingly talented. I think she is a pretty strong representation for young women, which I think is good. We need more of that.
And just to, I bring her up with Taylor Swift because I feel that way about both of them. Yeah, they're great representation for women. I know that entertainers and sports stars are not role models, but they are.
They
It's
are
just,
they're seen every
yeah,
day, right?
yeah. It's just by
So
default.
yes, I would say there's some stuff that's controversial from the aspect of like Jay-Z's fidelity and her staying with him, and the only thing I will say with that is like you don't know what goes on in other people's homes, and
Yeah, yeah,
we can't be the judge and jury on that. So
yeah. It's real easy to try to get into other people's personal life. We all at some point have to check ourselves, whether it's
yeah,
somebody we know or it's somebody like that. But, okay, cool. Yeah, and have you listened to the country album?
just this single or whatever.
Yeah, it's I gave it a listen. I mean, it's
Is it
good.
good?
It's good, just like all of her stuff's good. I mean, if
Yeah.
you, she's not my like something I'm going to go listen to on purpose all the time. I listen on purpose to know. I mean, what she does just at the top. So
Let me ask this. Is the country album kind of what I would expect musically from Beyonce
I think
as far as
so.
like a drum machine? Like
Yeah,
it's
no,
not
I
going to
mean
be a
it's
live band,
still
right?
yeah, and there's a lot of takeoff from modern Nashville country,
Yeah,
just like the songwriter factory country is what I call it because it's
right.
just you got like five people writing all of country music pretty much. Anything modern when I say modern, last 10 years, 15 years, it's basically the same five guys writing everything.
Are we saying with the exclusion of Red Dirt,
Oh
the Red
yeah,
Dirt
no, yeah,
song?
yeah. This
We're
this
talking
is
Nashville country.
yeah, this is more
Yeah,
like top 40. Like I said, like just the factory,
yeah,
the machine that has risen out of Nashville that's horrible. Like
yeah.
just it's not even real Nashville, but that's where it comes from. But it's got some of that. I mean, a lot of modern country has infused hip hop beats
Right.
and lots of
Drum
voice
tracks.
inflection, yeah,
Yeah,
the drum tracks and just the kind of the way that they sing and stuff like that. So
yeah.
it's kind of there, but hers is better. It's better because it's her.
Because it's her. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all right. We only have two more. I'm going to ask the hard one first.
Okay.
So I asked you earlier today to give me like some of your favorite artists and acts, and I've narrowed it down to two to try and I don't know make this question a good one. So one of these bands has to cease to exist, never existed, but you know that they existed, and you have to live with it, but you never get to hear the music again. Okay, so I know I'm setting up quite the scenario here. So once you
Okay.
eliminate them, they never existed. You remember it, and you remember how much you loved it, but you can never hear it again, and everybody thinks you're crazy. It's kind of like the Beatles,
Yesterday.
yesterday. It's sort of like that. So I narrowed it down. It was hard, so I didn't put the Beatles in it.
Okay.
Nobody ever eliminates the Beatles. I don't think I don't know. You might eliminate them over somebody else, but I narrowed it down to Neil Young and Smashing Pumpkins. One of them's gone forever. And I picked those because I figured that it hit you in two different spots.
Probably get rid of the pumpkins.
I kind of thought you'd say that.
Yeah, just the relationship with Neil Young and how it correlates with growing up and my dad and time spent together. And
See, that was kind of the piece that I didn't know, but that's why we do this, because now
yeah,
through this I get to know you a whole lot better.
I got to meet Neil. I told you this story,
Yeah,
didn't I?
yeah, yeah.
About
It's
how I met him.
pretty cool.
I just his voice, even like I know he doesn't have a beautiful voice, but his voice is it's like Dylan, right? It's super unique. You know who it is right away. And so while I think the Pumpkins are super original and the guitar sound from the Pumpkins is, you almost immediately, to me, there's replacements for the Pumpkins. Like Muse to a certain degree could be, along those lines.
Hmm.
Neil Young, he's his own sound,
Yeah.
and then just what it means to me. So I think that's why I would have to make that pick.
Yeah, I knew what your answer would be halfway through this podcast. After some of the stories and things, I was like,
Yeah,
well, that's not the greatest question now, but it is in theme here of trying to get to know somebody.
for sure.
And there's not much better ways to get to know somebody than to start asking them questions about music, especially if they love music. Because
Yeah.
with the last question, that's a really good segue. So just give me a few ways. You can give me like specific moments or just overarching themes, but and you've already done some of this in this podcast. So I'm sorry if it's a little repetitious, but it's a good way to wrap it up. Like, how would you say, like, what are some of the impacts that music has had on you?
Other than making me poor, no.
That is an impact.
Yeah, I would just say I don't know. I feel like so many big moments in my life I can associate a song or a band, just like it just resonates, right? Like hard times and the songs that you listen to cope with them, happy times, like parties and spending time with friends, or going to a concert with my dad or my daughter, or going to shows with my friends. I on my 21st birthday, I went to see a punk band, Unwritten Law. I wanted to go see a show. My buddies
Yeah.
asked me what I want to do, and I just like it was fun. It was just happy. Not the best music in the world, but it was like a fun experience and enjoying it. The year I turned 21, I think I saw almost 500 bands that year, like 450 bands that year. Yeah, 99. I was always going to shows, went to a bunch of Warped Tours, went to Woodstock. Like, I don't know, music has always been, like I said, getting in the car and going with my dad and records, hanging out, listening to records. My mom always had music on, even listening to like going to the Dairy Queen with my great uncle, and he would have like big band music on. I remember it, and like music's always been there. It's always been a part of my life, and the birth of my children, having a playlist for
Right.
when we were gonna be, you know what I mean, like in the room, and being ready for it, and dicking around with friends and bands and trying to put bands together and make music, and watching my daughter, play clarinet and learn how to play bass clarinet, and now doing synthesizer. And it's really cool for me to watch her do that and get into it and be passionate about it. So, and watching my kids love music. It's just music is such a big part, and it kind of, I can think of a lot of different music from times in my life that just kind of, oh, it comes on the radio and it takes me there.
Yeah. It's the friend that's always there and never goes anywhere.
Yeah,
Like you can always count on it.
for
And
sure.
I think
Yeah.
I don't know if I said this last week or not, but it's also kind of like it fills out a room like furniture does, but then it also is like spackle for cracks in the walls.
Yeah.
And there's just like so many uses for it.
There can be moments where music can bring up hard memories too, which is okay. Right. Like I talked about, certain songs getting through moments and stuff like that. you know,
Yeah.
not always happy places that it takes you to, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Makes you a stronger person. Not to end on a downer.
Oh, I'm so sad now. And to think Clint's burning our friendship bracelet right now, and I've got to end on a sad note. No, that's not really that sad. I think that I think that it's important in the good and the bad. It's like glue that holds it all together for me sometimes. I mean, one day I'll talk on a podcast about a couple of times when music probably literally saved my life. It can be that important to people and that impactful. I don't understand people who don't listen to music or don't really care. I don't say that ugly. I literally people
Understand it,
that
right?
don't listen to music and like ride around in their cars in silence and stuff. I just that's
Do you know
but
that's
you
a
know,
personality trait of a serial killer?
oh my
It's
God.
to ride in
All
silence.
right. Well, I know a couple of people that I need to cut out of my life. That's just very strange to me. But to each their own. But yeah, it's just so far out there. I don't understand. It's way too important to me.
Yeah.
All right, man, that was fun. And that nice and tight. These were supposed to be an hour or less, and we did it. So
Woohoo.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, that's Josh's 10 questions. Josh, I enjoyed it. Hope you did too.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Don't think I was too hard on you. I was much harder on Clint, I promise you. But I hope I got to know Josh quite a bit better. I hope the rest of you did. He's going to be back. He's going to be back next week, probably, depending on how we drop these episodes and episodes beyond that. He'll be a regular guest.
I'm excited. You talked about trying to keep it under an hour or right around an hour, and I promise that I will keep my Ohio references down for 1978 because there is a lot of them.
Well, one of my questions was going to be if Ohio was a woman, how fast would you leave your wife?
I mean, does she need to know about Ohio?
Oh goodness. Oh, that's funny. No, you know what? I'd love that you know so much about your state and so many of the things that have happened there. And reference away. I learn
All
something
right.
all the time, so I don't. You're not bothering me. You're not bothering me at all. But yeah, he's going to be back for 1978, and like I said, I'm sure we're going to pick a few as we go along that he's going to come join. We'll have some other return guests. Clint and I really enjoy having a third person on these because we end up talking about more than just what me and Clint like, which is usually the same stuff. So it's always nice
Well,
to get that variety there.
I think 78 is such a man, such a good year for music, and that's the year I was born. So
Yeah.
um, I did leave. At first, when I put it together, I had a soundtrack on there. That was the year that Saturday Night Fever came out, and that was the number one song
Mm-hmm.
the day I was born. So actually, my birthday's in 2 days, so I'll be a year older when we record.
Yeah, and we started this as a albums from every year of our life, and we started at mine at 72. So
Yeah.
now we've caught up with you, and in a couple of years, couple of episodes, we'll finally catch Clint and get into his lifetime. So I'm
The
looking
young
forward to all
the
of it.
young man of the group, right?
The young man, yes, the young man, good guy. Love Clint to death. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. And listen, thank you all for listening. I'm going to say this probably a lot at the end of episodes for the next little bit. We have really stepped up on listens, and I don't know where all of you are coming from, but I know that you're listening, and I know that the average time is enough that a lot of you are listening till the end. And when we started this series, we joked about 8 to 12 listeners, and it's way, way, way beyond that now. Like I can't even make that joke anymore. We're so far beyond it. But we thank all of you for listening. I hope you keep listening. I hope you're enjoying this. You can interact with us. There's a Facebook page. We have a X formerly known as Twitter. We've got ways out there that you can reach out to us. But anyway, thank you for listening. I'm not going to tell you everywhere we are because you already know, because I can see you're coming in from Apple and Spotify, from the website. Some of you are the hardcores. Literally, we have people that are using, podcasting apps and adding our feed to it. That blows me away. Like, that means you're really into it. So thank you. And we're going to be back next week with 1978, and we can't wait. So I usually try to end these with the words of my favorite drummer ever. Peace and love.